Tactical shooter games, a subgenre of the first-person shooters where you have to strategize, coordinate, and work together with your teammates in order to win. There is no sole MVP in a game where one person saves everything, and there's little time to think and react, and is arguably extremely realistic to the real world. It's games that praise teamwork and condemn individualism. The SWAT series, most notably SWAT 4 being most appraised, with other games such as Rainbow Six Siege and CS2 being other great examples, but recently, there is a new contender for the best tactical shooter game. That game being Ready or Not by Void Interactive. You play as the captain of the SWAT team, David Judge Beaumont, in Los Sueños, a fictional city in California during a crime wave where you go stopping crimes. Stopping ultranationalist domestic terrorist group from assassinating a politician, dismantling a human trafficking ring, stopping school shootings, for example. The usual, with all the missions falling into 5 mission modes, one being barricaded suspects where you save hostages and get evidence while dealing with the suspects while following the rules of engagement, raid, which is just barricaded suspects but just without the need to follow the ROE, there's also active shooter, which just as the name implies, there's someone you have to stop, same goes for bomb threat where you have to stop a bomb, and hostage rescue where you rescue hostages. Very easy to get, very understandable. And when you do these missions, you have the choice of either doing it with AI bots that will listen to your command, or to play with your friends to do them together. Now arguably, the best part of this whole game, personally and for many others too, is the fact that you can play with your friends to go on and do these missions together, and allows up to 10 people in the party, so you really don't have to worry about leaving someone out. I mean, it is just so much better to plan and coordinate and discuss with the people that you know already, rather than just using AI bots to your advantage, which is possible but nowhere near as fun. But you know, if you don't have friends, that's also fine because the game itself, even with just bots, is really spectacular itself. Scrap has sought for a spiritual successor because of its challenging gameplay and intriguing gunplay, and it may be too much realism. It lets us choose so much variety of guns to use, from rifles, submachine guns, shotguns, and handguns into tactical and lethal equipment. And if the situation calls for it, you would also have to use non-lethal weapons to apprehend the suspects using things such as tasers and pepper spray, since arresting the suspects alive would reward you so much more. And hell, not only can you customize guns and weapons, you can even customize your avatar to the most minute details. But even other than the gun options itself, the gameplay is super fun, such as the multitude of tactics that you can utilize to stop the suspect in a shooting, to the quick thinking that you have to do in order to save you and your squad, and to the number of features in the game, it's still not being too confusing and overwhelming. But the highlight of the whole game is undoubtedly the fact that everything is extremely realistic. Now, what do I mean by it being very realistic? Well, firstly, the AI for the suspects is advanced enough so that they can hide under beds, behind doors, and closets, forcing you to check every single inch of the buildings that you're investigating, or else you will be met with a knife in your back. You arrest the ones that you've incapacitated, and you down the ones who are actively dangerous. And you must never forget to rescue the hostage and secure the evidence. It has low time to kill, split-second decision making, and hell, even the less lethal weapons such as the beanbag shotguns and the pepper ball guns still have the chance of either incapacitating or even killing the suspects and civilians. Not to mention the missions you have to take on as well, with the game devs actually asking police teams around the globe to make sure the game is as accurate as possible to their experience, with everything from the rules of engagement, how they stop the crimes, and the experience itself. And this is the reason why Ready or Not is such a controversial game. Because of its realism in the missions, the prime example being the mission of you stopping this college shooting, and well, you know how it is. The main point is that it reflects reality a bit too well, and I can't blame them, but personally, it's fine for me. The lead developer has said how, quote, "From the beginning, we've always envisioned Ready or Not to tackle realistic cases. We haven't shied away from designing missions that paint a vivid reality of what SWAT forces deal with." And I think that's great. Well, it is true that it might have been insensitive to some and even brash to others. What I think is that they've done things in a well thought out way that isn't glorifying anyone but showing us what reality truly is. In the end, whether you think it's desensitizing or great or bad or a masterpiece, it's all up to you. But for me, it's one hell of a game with reality being at the forefront of the game at all times. And I know I've said this a bit too much times already, but I like these things. It's a breath of fresh air compared to all the other first-person shooter games nowadays where you go in with guns ablaze, shooting at anything that moves. And this game changes all that. It makes you stop. and rethink your actions, because here, every move you do has a consequence, irreversible ones. Every bullet counts because each can take a life, no matter a civilian or a criminal, and each second matters because you're always in the balance between life and death. And again, every action matters because you are constantly dealing with the lives of innocent civilians in your hands. I'm not hating on COD for going that route, because I like those games as well, but this is something of a novelty to see a tactical shooter game that's this great. And while it's not perfect, with the suspects no clipping out of nowhere and shooting you with aimbot and wall hacks, and the movement being extremely sluggish, it's still a work in progress. And don't forget that this game has just been fully released last week and they are already this good. Just imagine for a while how much has been added and perfected even during the early access, and ever since the full release there's even more stuff now. And they're still planning to add a ton more stuff and fix a lot of stuff. So I really believe that this game will be successful because the devs really went above and beyond. That alone deserves the recognition itself. But yeah, what do you think about this game? Yeah, anyways, it's all for the video. And just a little update, this might be the last video for the year, but I will be continuing after the New Year's. I'm planning a really big video, so I'm gonna be working on them during those 2 weeks or 1 week. But I'm really unsure on how long it'll take to make, so yeah, just let's see whether my next video is gonna be that video or something else. But either way, I'm going to make it. But I swear, once it's out, you all will love it. I mean, I hope so anyways. But yeah, happy holiday guys and happy early New Year's. See ya.